You're listening to Fringianity.
Hello and welcome to the Fringianity podcast. This week I'm going to be covering the green agenda and all the craziness, and I do mean craziness, that is coming from the people surrounding this movement and all of the nonsense that some of these people are saying. So before we get to the show, I just want to play some scripture and then we'll start the show.
Matthew 24. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple. And his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let him which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But, and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Okay, so I figured I'd play all of Matthew 24 because that kind of gives you a list of everything that's going to happen in the end times as it goes and plays through. Also, there's other stuff that happens in the end times, like a new earth and a new heaven comes about, a new Jerusalem. All that stuff comes down from heaven. It's not made on earth by man's hands. It says it's not made with men's hands at all. I just like to differentiate that because a lot of people, these kingdom now people, believe that they're going to build the kingdom on earth for Jesus so that he can come. But according to Jesus, that's not going to be needed because he's already got the temple and everything is going to come to the new heaven and the new earth. So all of this will be burnt up because it says the mountains will melt when he arrives. So, it sounds to me like everything is going to be burnt up. But anyway, that being said, all the scripture stuff is over. Now we're just going to get into the craziness that the world is going into. And the Bible did warn us about the craziness, but anyway. So a couple points. I've jogged down some notes here. Basically, this climate change stuff, people somehow got the idea that we're all going to die in 12 years. So, I don't know, I'm a little older than some of these millennials and some of these kids that are out there preaching the green gospel. And I remember Al Gore saying that, that we're going to be flooded and polar bears are going to die and all that stuff. All up until now, they should have been dead. They should have been all gone. But they're not. In fact, there's a lot of ice in Antarctica right now. Okay, so I guess that didn't melt, but okay, we can trust these people. And by the way, Al Gore is a rich guy because of the green movement. And because of the climate, the global warming is what he called it. But, in the 70s, they called it global cooling. Yeah, we're not supposed to remember things or actually research anything. Because we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, don't make me say that name too many times, because she has all the facts, and she can't get any facts straight, but somehow we're supposed to believe her over real science. So the point here is these people keep on pointing out this 12 years we have left. 12 years before it's going to end. And when you actually say 12 years to people, some of these people who are mentally ill, heavily medicated, tend to flip out and start to act crazed and do radical things because you just told them they only have 12 years left to live. So it's a fear tactic. That's what that is. And a lot of these people that are saying all this stuff don't understand that there's corporations that are doing more damage than any single person can do. They're the ones making the plastic glasses. Those plastic things that go on Pepsi cans. The 6-packs you can buy, those little plastic things to hold the 6-pack together. Yeah, those things are choking birds and all that stuff. And I agree, that's bad. And we're supposed to be good stewards of the earth, according to the Lord. But I did not make those things. I'm not the one who's bottling water. I'm not the one who's doing all these things. I'm not the one who's making bigger and bigger TVs. I'm not the one who's making oil pipelines that keep leaking and that they don't want to spend the money to fix. I'm not the one that has the ships that keeps on having the giant oil tankers have a blowout in the ocean and oil spraying everywhere. That's not me. And yet somehow I'm a carbon footprint. I'm supposed to pay my carbon tax because carbon taxes save the universe, right? Okay, so obviously there's something a little bit off about this whole idea. And a lot of people are just like, well, big deal. We already know that it's just an agenda. We all know this. A lot of people know all the things I'm already saying. These people are I just put it this way. I've seen what made me do this show is a really strange thing. The reason why I decided to do this episode is specifically because of something strange I saw in my state. Okay, Trump came to Minnesota, and he did a thing for his, rally and all that stuff. And outside of his rally, these Democrat, liberal, hillbilly, hippie, new age pagans, whatever they are, that's what they look like, were doing these strange dances without music. And at first I just made fun of them and like, wow, they really are medicated. These people are loony. But then I seen something on the internet talking about how these people are starting to use witchcraft and pagan rituals to try to communicate with the earth, and these pagan dances and all this stuff to try to communicate with the earth, or that it's some kind of ritual or something. It's really strange. And I don't think any of these people actually did any research on this, really. They're just doing whatever comes to mind. But when I started putting these two things together, I was like, because they're doing this in Europe, a lot of places. This green movement people are doing all these pagan things in Europe. And it's really bringing out the New Age and paganism everywhere with these tribal dances or whatever. So that's what kind of spurred me to do this episode, because I was like, this is weird. First off, if there's that many mentally ill people, and I do mean they're mentally ill, they have to be mentally ill because they're flopping around in the street, they're blocking traffic, they're blocking, in some cases, ambulances to get hospitals and stuff to bring people in, because we have to, it's an emergency. Well, it's not an emergency for grandma to go to the hospital because her heart just failed, but it's an emergency to save the earth. See, that's what I'm saying. The idea that we're going to die in 12 years makes these people go insane, so now they're doing radical things that they probably wouldn't have done if they didn't hear from AOC, Alexandria Cortez, I'm just going to leave out the middle name, about her 12-year idea. And if you don't believe me, listen to what she says in this little clip.
I think that the part of it that is generational is that millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
And I'm like, oh my God, can somebody please shoot me in the head if I have to listen to her speak one more second? Oh my God. Can they find anyone that sounds more like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo? Because everything she says is, like, no way, like what? Like where? Like how? Like we're gonna die. Like it's the end of the world? Oh my God, like I can't believe that you don't want to give me all your money. I can't believe you don't want big government to take and save you. I mean, like, that's this woman. Oh, I haven't wanted to put her voice on this show ever until now, because I felt I needed to showcase her coming up with this. I don't know. Maybe she probably didn't come up with it because she doesn't have any brains. But somebody behind her with a script is giving her this 12 years before we're all dead fear tactic. And apparently it's working with some people. And unfortunately, it's mentally ill people and mentally disturbed people who are probably, like I said, because there's so many people on prescription medications nowadays, because everybody has some kind of delusional situation happening to them. That's why they're all protesting in the street, and if you ask them any questions, they have no answers because they don't know anything. Or they work for the Soros Foundation and don't even know it because they're too stupid because they just want to take a check. But anyway, she's just leading people to commit violence, basically, by saying you're going to die in 12 years unless we address climate change. Okay, so how do you address climate change? If someone disagrees with your, they don't have any data. The people who protest, the people who disagree about climate change, they never have any facts to back up anything. They're always just, Al Gore said it, so therefore it must be true, They don't have any facts. They're just a bunch of kids. And I wouldn't be such a big deal. I wouldn't even want to address this if it wasn't for the fact that they're starting to become violent, that they're starting to cause harm, and the global government is starting to inflict taxes on people, gas taxes, and all these green taxes for the 2030 agenda onto people. And that's making them not be able to make money. They're losing houses, and people can't afford to live. They got to drive far, and they got to have gas in their car, and the gas tax is going to drive their gas costs up and all this stuff. And this is not just in America. This is a worldwide thing. So you can't just, just tax them to death and that'll stop them from doing anything wrong. No, that'll just make them bankrupt, and then they'll really want to come after the global government. Maybe that's what they want, though, because I know they want mass extinctions. They're using this green movement to try to act like they care. Well, in reality, they want what it says on the Georgia Guidestones. They want to get the human population down to about 500 million. And the best way to do that is to get us all fighting with each other, and to get the pagans and the New Agers to want to kill the Christians, because that's where this is going to go. It's going to look like the Burning Man, or it's going to look like some kind of a Wicker Man type of situation with all these pagans and witches and all these strange. I thought we were living in the year 2019. I thought we are a progressive society according to these Democrats, right? If we're so progressive, in other words, progress, I thought progress was moving ahead in the future with technology to solve our problems. But no, we're going back to pagan rituals and witchcraft in order to... What are we going to do? We're going to build pyramids and sacrifice people on the top and rip their hearts out to the sun god? That's not progressive. That's degressive. So now, because of this great brainwashing that the UN and all these people are giving the children, now we have Greta Thunberg. Yeah, listen to what she said.
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. But no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice. They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So a 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. To have a 67% chance of staying below a 1.5 degrees of global temperature rise, the best odds given by the IPCC, the world had 420 gigatons of CO2 left to emit back on January 1st, 2018. Today that figure is already down to less than 350 gigatons. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? With today's emissions levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years. There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today, because these numbers are too uncomfortable and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us. But the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up, and change is coming whether you like it or not. Thank you.
Okay, so many things to say when it comes to that, and I don't think I could get it to remember everything I had to say. But the main point here is that girl is using, first off, who wrote that script for her? That was brilliant. It's almost like Obama wrote it for her. That was a great act. That was a great emotional roller coaster. I mean, she should win an Academy Award. Oh wait, her parents aren't her parents actors, like Broadway actors or something in her country or something like that? Yeah, I think I heard that. And also, notice how she kept saying future generations. Wasn't it her that said that she doesn't want to have kids because she's trying to save the world from, whatever? I don't understand. I just remember something about her not wanting to have kids. Maybe I'm wrong. So I guess she's not going to have future generations. And at this rate, if she's going to keep acting emotional and crazed like that, it's probably better for the rest of us. But you see how emotional these people are getting? Now, I understand that was probably just a giant act to get other people to see it, like people in school, because you want to bet that played in people's schools, in high schools, everywhere, as a propaganda piece, because let's admit it, a lot of teachers are Democrats, and they're all up for propaganda. They're totally down for propaganda, because that's all we hear on the TV, that's all we see in music videos, movies, all this stuff, these different propaganda pieces that you keep on seeing. So anyway, she's preaching to a bunch of people. She keeps on saying, "How dare you? How dare you?" Like they're specifically like, okay, there's your enemy, and you're going to be able to take them down. This is the United Nations. This is the global elites, and there's people behind them that tell them what to do. So I don't know about her being able to take them down, per se. Jesus Christ will, though. Don't worry about that. God is laughing at them and their plans that they're doing in secret. But my point is, this girl acts like and they're like we're going to all get together and we're all going to unite. Well, first off, we have to unite. Good luck. Good luck with that. There is so much division going on right now. Nobody's able to unite with anything. I mean, the church alone is so divided that it couldn't unite to actually do what Jesus Christ said to do, which is preach the gospel to the entire world right now, at least in a cohesive message. And the rest of the world is just in complete chaos, and no one's agreeing with anyone. You go on Facebook or you go anywhere, and all you see is in the comments is people disagreeing with everyone all the time. And even me, I disagree with people. Everyone has a different opinion. So getting everyone to agree that who is the enemy and how to go after them is the thing. But if that wasn't enough, it got worse. Now, somebody blamed this on a right-wing thing to try to make people look bad. I don't know, but it sounds like a truly mentally ill person. But it shows that these people are out and about, and they're actually listening to people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I hate that name. So, this next clip, and I know most of you probably heard all these clips, but this next clip is pretty amazing.
Getting rid of fossil fuel is not going to solve the problem fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy that you're really supporting the Green Deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people, too much pollution. So we have to get rid of the babies. That's a big problem. Just stopping having babies is not enough. We need to eat the babies, and this is very serious. Please give a response.
Thank you. No, thank you. We'll go ahead. I think we all need to understand that there are a lot of solutions that we have. and that we can pursue, and that if we act in a positive way, there's space for hope.
So that was really eye-opening. So the girl, I mean, this is, like I said, they tried to blame it on right-wing people. I'm sure it's a Trump, this is obviously a Trump thing. He planted her. This is all the same crap over and over. If I have to hear Trump impeachment or Trump did this or Trump's a racist one more time, I'm going to kill myself because I'm tired of hearing it. But anyway, so this girl, literally, she talk about eating babies. But, that's not very, even if it's real or not, that's not very far off the table, considering that these people are all about killing the babies. They're totally fine with dismembering the babies at Planned Parenthood centers and selling the parts. They're perfectly fine with that. And, I mean, in California, there's a place called Cannibal Club. It's a restaurant. And celebrities like Katy Perry and all these famous people, and the restaurant, I think the owner of the restaurant is one of them at least, is the sister of Mark Zuckerberg, his wife. So it's really insane that cannibalism's on the table, and I don't know why Ocasio-Cortez is so shocked by this, because if you just keep going down this road long enough, that's where you'll end up. You'll end up in the cannibal and killing camp, because there's too many people. Because if you keep freaking people out and saying there's too many people, because too many people is what's killing the earth. Get it? Too many people they're killing the earth. How do you solve this problem? You have to kill too many people to get rid of the problem that's killing the earth, right? So, and I don't think they understand that the earth has dealt with things far before we started causing any problems. The earth has dealt with a giant flood and still survived. Just that alone. Just think about that. And a giant flood that took out, well, I know they don't believe in biblical stories, so therefore that doesn't count. But, there's been volcanoes. The dinosaurs all died off. And the world came back from that. So I don't know if they know it, but the earth is pretty powerful and able to live through a lot of different things. But this girl, and she even talks about even if we bomb Russia, so what, Russians don't count as people? What's wrong with people? That really bothers me, that people are always on Russia. They're always saying Russia's evil, Russia's bad, Russia's this, that, and the other. Just because some fake thing that they made up about Trump, about some election crap, that the Russians, hacked the election. Oh my God, whatever. No. All Russians are not evil. I don't understand where we get this American ideology that all the Russians are evil. The Russians. You know what? America's doing some pretty evil stuff. Didn't we fund and arm ISIS? Yeah, we did. Unfortunately, no one wants to talk about that, do they? And then now they're talking about this this Extinction Rebellion society or whatever, this group. And the founder of Extinction Rebellion himself said that they want to bring violence toward people, the whoever they see is not fit to be, a green person or a good person to the earth or whatever. Whoever they see is bad. And he basically says, yes, some may die in the process. So he's talking about violence. And, I mean, I just have a feeling that this is leading toward a mass hysteria type of thing, because they're trying to get everybody to go crazy so that the United Nations and all these other big system, this big government can step in and have martial law, and then they can move toward their fascist system of all time. And because of Greta Thunberg was such a good Christian leader, the Church of Sweden announced Greta Thunberg successor of Jesus. Oh yeah, that's great. So we have all kinds of delusion going on, just like the Bible warned us about. So I decided I'm going to play a little clip from Glenn Beck. I really don't like him, and he's kind of a book salesman, more or less, but there's some good points in this little clip, and this is kind of an older clip from an older show. So just listen. It talks about Agenda 21 and all the stuff that's involved in this global United Nations initiative.
Nothing really new, but it's picking up steam and it's building momentum in certain circles. The worst part is you may not even be aware of it, but groundwork is being laid. One of the main reasons for these same old tired ideas being revitalized is because those pushing globalism and government control on a global level have mastered the art of hiding it in plain sight and then just dismissing it as a joke. A great example would be this: the United Nations Earth Summit, Agenda 21. Yeah, that kind of sounds like Fahrenheit 451. I don't think that ended well. Agenda 21. They refer to it as sustainable development. Well, that sounds good. Gee, Wally, that sure sounds great to me. I mean, who's against development, especially the sustainable kind? Yeah. Yeah, you might change your mind when you hear a little bit of the background of sustainable development. Here's how Agenda 21 is defined by the United Nations. A comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations system, governments, and major groups in every area in which humans impact the environment. Wow, that's kind of broad. Now, it has been adopted by more than 178 governments. I believe there's only 191 on the planet. The United Nations had their big conference on the environment and development in Rio back in 1992, and that's when everybody jumped on board. But it sounds harmless. It's only Agenda 21. Yeah, go look this one up, because it's not so harmless. And it really, can I tell you something? You have to dig pretty deep into this thing. I mean, because look at all this. It doesn't get spooky until about here. Just section 1. Social and economic dimensions, which talks about the redistribution of wealth, changing consumption patterns, promoting health, I love this one, change population, and sustainable settlement. That's good. Then a little later, when it talks about the redistribution of wealth, which we all love, quote, developed countries and funding agencies should provide specific assistance to developing countries in adopting an enabling approach to the provision of shelter for all. So that's like guaranteed housing. Well, that's going to be great because the government's going to own all of our houses anyway because we're all going broke because of this. Reading through the pages, it becomes clear sustainable development is just a really nice way of saying centralized control over all of human life on planet Earth. That doesn't sound bad. It starts to make more sense when you see who's responsible for all of this. First, Gro Harlem Brundtland. I love her. I don't really know how to say her name because I don't know anybody who names their child with the first name G-R-O, Gro. But here she is, strong like bull. She happens to be the first vice president of Socialist International, which I read in Newsweek, we're all socialists now, just like Gro. Totally unrelated to her work at the UN is her socialist work, I'm sure. She's also really close friends with the Clintons. Oh, they get along so great. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Yoo-hoo! Right here. There she is. She's also active in the Clintons' Global Initiative. She's there for the annual meetings. Yeah. She was there when Hillary received a German Media Award in 2005. And here's Hillary wishing her dear friend happy 70th birthday. Watch. Here she is.
As a former environment minister, a longtime advocate for sustainable development and most recently as a United Nations Special Envoy for Climate Change. You helped set the stage for intensive diplomatic and scientific work being done on this issue today.
Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Grow wasn't just there. Come on, she's being modest here. Grow wasn't just there. She coined the term sustainable development in a 1987 missive entitled Our Common Future. That was a piece that laid the groundwork for that's 92 Earth Summit, which, by the way, the 92 Earth Summit, the conference, you know who else was there? This guy. I love this guy. Love you, Maurice. Thank heaven for little girls. Wrong, Maurice. This is Maurice Strong. You might remember him from Crime, Inc. Remember that? Yeah. He's a globalist. He was formerly of the UN. He was on the board of the Chicago Climate Exchange scam. He also has this crazy idea. He wants to have people, if you want to have a baby, you know how that works, right? Because I'm not going to tell you, but, I mean, pretty simple. Okay. He wants to make sure if you want to have a baby, you have to have a license. He also said the only way to save the world at this point is to have the industrial civilization collapse. So what could be nefarious about what's happening with any of what? It's about helping the planet. All right, so that's how Agenda 21 came to be. Strongly reaffirmed at the World Summit on Sustainable Development held in Johannesburg, South Africa in 2002. Why is Glenn Beck talking about Agenda 21? How does this matter to you? Well, there is a good chance now your local community officials are actively working on implementing this socialist-created redistribution of wealth, globalist scheme disguised, really poorly, as environmental crusades. And here's how they're doing it. Through this organization. It's ICLEI. ICLEI. Local Governments for Sustainability. It was launched in 1990 with only a handful of participating governments. Today, over 1,200 local governments are involved. Here's what they do. Anytime you're coming up, your town is coming up with some sort of new zoning or an open space, or they want to have the smart energy meters, anything environmental, park, you must look for the buzzword like sustainable development, because there is a good chance that the people behind it at the local level may or may not have any idea, but the good chance is that the usual suspects are involved just behind the curtain.
Green Trojan horse. Socialism, climate change, and depopulation. It's all going together, and it's all in the plan. That's how they want to get rid of people. And now we got Agenda 2030 and the carbon tax and all that stuff. And it's all going to end up in mass extinctions of people instead of dinosaurs this time. And it turns out we're all going to kill each other instead of a comet or whatever meteor hitting the earth. Well, that could happen too. God might just get sick of it and just throw a rock and, wormwood destroy the earth or whatever. You know what I mean? Biblical stuff. But it's really entitled people that are doing all this craziness, that are just, they're entitled to, owning the world. They can do whatever they want. They feel as if they own it, not you. So they need to get rid of us. But it's all depopulation. That's all it is. This is really, just to sum it all up, it's really simple. They need to spy on you so they know everything about you, so they know how to kill you, so that they can get rid of you, so they can move on to the next person, and so on and so forth. Until Jesus comes and wipes them all out on Judgment Day. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have for this episode. So thank you very much for listening. And God bless.
If you like this show, please share it with your friends. Promote it as much as possible before the internet censors us and takes down all of our content. Also check out the Fringianity Podcast Facebook group and page. New shows will be posted there, as well as show images. So check that out too. That's all for this show. So thank you very much for listening, and God bless.